Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Thank you. Now enjoy the show.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in again to another episode of RAERAEs Review, where me and Aaron will let y'all know what happened on the season finale of Season Charm. That's Season 10, and it was their reunion part 2. Everyone, please welcome Aaron to the show.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me, as always.
Of course. We always have our discussions beforehand. We be talking about this and going over that. And child, it was a lot. You know, it's like, ooh, Venita, girl, get your itch together.
You in danger, girl. To quote Whoopi from Ghost, instead of Molly, it's you, Venita.
Venita, girl, you done drank the Kool-Aid, mama. You drank the Kool-Aid.
Oh, I'm so disappointed in that. And what is your overall general feeling? I feel very unresolved and still confused.
Yeah, I feel unresolved on a few issues. The Venita and Madison, even though they seem to be jolly and gung-ho, sitting next to each other all season, we rarely saw them. You know, I mentioned that earlier in the reviews, where before you could barely tear them apart, you know. And so I would have liked for them to explore that. Maybe there's nothing to explore, but
yeah,
for me, you know, it's a vast difference from before and now. Like, why is that? I mean, we see the Trace Amigos, you know, over here, Shep, Austen, and Craig, whether they're beefing or not, the cameras seem to be on them a lot.
It really did focus on the guys this season, didn't it? It felt like all of the women were like supporting characters as far as like what we got from the show.
Right. And that's what it seemed like. But I still feel there's something there that was not explored. So that's why I feel that to be unresolved. Where the heck was Gaston all this time? We saw a little bit of him. We heard him live. We saw video of him. I mean, what's the real deal as to why he didn't film? I would have loved to see some conflict resolution between Gaston, Sally, and Taylor. That was an issue. And the way Taylor handled it was really punk. P-U-S-S-Y, if you ask me. I really would like for Taylor to stand 10 toes in that. But anywho, and I do think there's some unresolved there, as well as with actually, Miss Patricia pretty much resolved it. She didn't, at the end, she said she didn't believe JT. So also the unresolved with Craig and Austen, just a little bit more to explore. Like I mentioned, like if you're gonna spill the tea, spill the tea. It seemed like they just gave a little bit and took a whole lot back. Like they didn't want to say more than what was kind of blurted out in regards to maybe alcohol wasn't the only substance that folks was battling on this show. Because I heard it. So they can't take it back.
Yeah, no, I heard it too. Although I will say, like, I don't necessarily like if you look back when Craig was struggling with Adderall, you could tell he's gaunt, he's so pale, you know, his skin is not good. Like you can tell versus now that there's a problem. I believe him when he talked about Austen just being maybe not like over partied or whatever, but I'm not getting a vibe that that's the case with him. So, but I agree with you. I think there were a lot of things unresolved, and I do want to just support what you said about the Venita Madison relationship. In that, Venita did bring it up at the after show that she said, you know, Madison, it cost her friendship with Madison this season because Madison was like, "Why do you like this fool? He's trying to come after my marriage."
Oh wow!
Remember that was the thing that I texted you. Remember you said I watched it, but I didn't catch
Yeah,
that.
I missed it. I maybe girl. I didn't. Go ahead.
I gave you the minute.
No, not that. I meant when I watched it, I didn't catch it for some reason. That's why I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, I did for you because I was like, she brought this up. She made it a point. It was not something that I was focusing on. Not that I didn't believe you. It's just that I wanted to affirm that, like, you know, when someone is making a point and it has a little punctuation on it, I'm here to be a friend and say, here you go. Evidence of your rightness.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a missed opportunity to discuss, and not just because she's pregnant. I mean, hell, that would have been something, a great resolve on that show.
Yeah, I would have preferred that as well because it doesn't really cost Madison much emotional currency to make up with Venita being pregnant, you know, because like I wouldn't want to have uncomfortable conversations with Madison right now. But I think they could have easily, you know, been like, yeah, it sucked that you chose, you know, felt like you were choosing him over me. And at least for her to talk about how, you know, acknowledge that she you know, like I saw something different. But you know what? It probably would have been a scene where Venita was just talking all gooey, stupid about JT, and I don't want to see none of that. I don't. I hate the way when they asked if she still wanted to date him, she said yes. I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. It is the low self-esteem, like, and me being a former fat girl in high school, it is the sad pick me approach. This dude, go ahead.
No, I want you to finish that.
This dude is not, no, he missed an opportunity with you, and you should not still be open to the idea when he literally has a girlfriend that called you a rat, and that is, yeah, he chose someone with a reputation, all these things over you. But I'm going to caveat that. We can, you know, put a pin in this. That's when I started.
No, we're going to keep going. No.
This is when I started to wonder, what kind of shenanigans are you playing with the storyline? Because like I said to you before, when have we ever had more interest and more invested in a Venita storyline on Southern Charm? Not saying she's not interesting. This is just what they've shown. This is the first time that I was like, they like headlined the issues at the reunion.
That's what is partially so disappointing when she finally breaks out of whatever shell, no shell. As soon as she gets the spotlight,
right,
she's looking like she's looking, and by choice. At first, it was like, how dare they? Again, production did F up. If they would have showed things more chronological order, then it would have made more sense. However,
seriously,
the choice she made on this show, outside the show, for that man who disrespected you on a level to where her wanting him should have been nulled and voided.
Right.
I mean, she seemed to have it so much together all these seasons. We've seen her counseling others and always speaking in a way to where it makes a lot of sense to telling me that, okay, she got a good head on her shoulders. But I guess not when it comes to DICK.
I mean, because like, and let's jump back to what you said. Production, you are the biggest F up of the season, not Austen, Craig, or Shep. It is you, production. I am speaking to you because I know you're listening.
Yeah.
What your storytelling was piss poor. It was because I'm not watching these shows to clock editing mistakes or like that you're literally chopping up one scene and using it throughout the season so that I'm noticing that the outfits are different. And so you're trying to act like this is another day or months later, and it's clearly the same one. Like when you have enough bloops that I'm starting to notice and wonder what is going on with how you're piecing this crap together, that's a problem because the audience is not trying to clock it. We are trying. I mean, some of y'all.
And not to mention, Venita validates that by saying,
correct,
this didn't happen and it happened so and so. So
right. Well, and I do respect her for feeling the need to clarify because she's already getting I think the insecure girlfriend. Obviously, why wouldn't she be insecure if she has any inkling how supposedly close JT and Venita got?
Yeah, very bad at it.
Yeah, she'd be super jealous, right? So Venita needed to clarify, I'm not a rat, but then you kind of are a little mousy, Venita, because you still want to date him. So if I were JT's girlfriend, reputation or not, I wouldn't want him hanging out with you, especially alone. I wouldn't like that you two maintained a friendship. I'd be like, no, you dated this girl. It was her or me, and you move forward with me. No, you can't hang out with your best friend. I'm not comfortable with that because I know how close romantically things got, and clearly by the way she's acting are unresolved. You think she'd tell him, oh no, don't dump your girlfriend if he started to have weird feelings? Get out of here. She'd be like, storyline du jour, let's go. But that's a little bit part of my problem with this is like she's got to really like him because otherwise it is a hard sell now that I think about it for you to tell me that she really is going to make herself that embarrassing on TV for a plot line. But then again, this is the biggest one she's ever had, and we now I said, who do we think has a built-in storyline for next season? Janita and Vati.
Not Janita
and Vati. And Vati. Yep. Those two. Yeah. And also shame on production yet again. I still don't know what the hell happened. You were flirting. You started dating after filming. He was dating the other girl at the exact same time. He then chose her over you. And then you got upset about it, or you were fine with that choice, but some communication got weird. Like, I don't understand. But
that's not timeline.
Yeah, if we could, I don't think we'll figure it out, but I'm here to, I'm here.
I think there's one timeline that was clear when she told him she needed time a week later.
Right.
He's posting a girlfriend, making it Instagram official. And she's like, I just told you I needed time. I guess he couldn't wait a week.
Well, and was it literally
leave him alone?
Well, and this is where I was confused. Was it because I got the impression from their texting and what they were saying was that she needed time to get used to the idea that he was like picking this girl over her, that it wasn't going to work out. She just needed a minute because if I got it wrong and he was literally waiting to see if she picked him back and he didn't get an answer fast enough, so he went with the girlfriend, because I'm under the impression that he picked this girl over Venita, or Venita and him dated and they didn't sleep together, so that's sus to me too. That means that you don't have real adult chemistry if you ain't doing that, but whatever, none of my business. Which flops me over to the storyline side, but anyway, so I'm totally confused about, you're right, I'm not confused about the less than a week later he went Instagram official. I'm confused about what his relationship status was when they had that last interaction.
from my understanding, she needed time to take all this in because she was upset with him.
That he had chosen the girl, the other one.
Right. The whole scenario.
Yeah, same here, right?
So the fact that a week goes by and he's making it Instagram official with another woman, she felt blindsided when all she said was, I just need some time at this point.
Right.
Not that,
yes.
you know, it's like, and then he doesn't say anything prior to posting her so that Venita can stop taking time. She expects him to give her more respect when that's not where his respect lies, and she doesn't understand that because they were such great friends. Well, you have an underestimation about this man, Miss Venita. If you listen to watching and listening, stop trying to make fetch happen. Just like who else did that? I can't recall.
Shep?
No. Well, he kind of did put words into Sienna's brain and mind, but I just remember somebody else doing it. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is Venita cannot want more for her than what this person wants for her. She can't think for that person. She can't press upon her emotions thinking that this is what he would do because she knows him. Well, apparently you don't know him well enough because he keeps dissing you left and right for another woman.
And if I were dating someone, they decided to get a girlfriend, if I were deeply upset about that, then I shouldn't be friends with him anyway because I have unresolved romantic feelings, right? Which is you need to get some distance and let things change, right? So that you need to allow distance for your emotions to change. And I don't think it's appropriate to be so close to someone when you were romantic, it's not resolved, but he is in a new relationship. Either you need the distance for your own mental health so that you can reset the boundaries, or you need some space because this clown is actually not respecting you. And
he's a straight clown.
Clown, little fish-faced clown. I'm trying to figure out what he looks. He looks kind of like a seagull or something because he has that nose. Anyway,
I think he looked good. He's just short, but anyway.
I mean, you could, if he were taller, you could throw him right in the pack with the boys, and he would be, but
that's what I'm saying.
He's the ugliest of them. But yeah, no, he's not. Now he's turned into a caricature for me because
right because more respect for him is gone. He's obviously lying with the him and Han. Well, I just thought, you were real clear when you were making a point in this scene, that scene, last season, this season. But when it comes to this, you want to him and Han and stutter. That only lets me know that you are insecure with what you're saying. And that's telling me that you're lying.
And I I was sad for Venita because this is doing nothing but pumping up his ego. You could tell he loved it. He's now wanted by two women, and one of the things that I would have liked to say to him if I were on the cast, say I was Leva, because, we're in the boob category. I would say to him, I understand that your first season, you didn't know what it was like to be thrust into the spotlight under a successful show and what the privileges of becoming a Bravo celebrity are, which is immediately you are more clout. You are more attractive to a larger group of women. All of a sudden you have a little patina on you that opens up your dating pool. And I get that. I don't know what I would do if all of a sudden, like, 25% more of the men in my area were like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, I can only imagine, especially because Bravo is such a woman's, female audience, all of that. I feel like, but I don't want him to get a big old ego. He needs to stay crushed for a while because he's a twerp. He was so comfortable being standing on his moral ground before he had extra P opportunities, talking about Austen's F-boyism, where it's like,
the hypocrisy is real.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, dude, now you know why they were F-boys. I'm not saying they're all growing out of it. They all need to calm the hell down and stop doing it because they're looking dusty. Yeah, they're looking dusty, as we saw from the footage. But it doesn't change the fact that I do understand that all of them have their pick of the litter when it comes to women. They still do, especially in the Charleston area. They go to BravoCon, they're like celebrities and shit. So that's the part that I would have liked for, even though it is somewhat breaking the fourth wall. They've done it before. They did it on Summer House. They talked about the impact of what your dating life looks like for, a new dude cast member. You could have easily done that with JT and said, what's happening here? You need to maybe stand down on your whole moral high ground because now that you've been presented with some similar temptations, you failed miserably, just like the rest of them. So you need to humble yourself a little bit here. And he did come in talking a bunch of smack about everybody, like he had the right to do so.
Like Susie too.
Yeah, right? And look how that worked out for her. The way that he talked to Sally, you know what? We all kind of went, when we heard their origin story, we all kind of have our suspicions about how Sally rolls, but who the F are you? If some dude tried to come at me and be like, you were the other woman, you did it, what? I would be like, pipsqueak, watch me punch you in the throat. You may know my story, but you don't get to talk to me about shit. Especially now, where as soon as he got offered a little bit of higher end tail, and listen, that fool was talking about that marriage he had when he was 23. Like, that was just so devastating. I'm like, you're such a dork. Now you've just had a little taste of fame and you just think you're Casanova.
He really turned out to be not what he portrayed.
Nope.
When he first got on this show.
Yeah.
I don't.
I supported that JT. I supported that JT.
And to play Venita like that.
Yep.
It's but she got a little bit to it because she jumped in thinking she was the better option. Yeah. Girl, you have options. Yeah. How about that? You, Venita, you're the prize. He's not.
No, and
for him to have so much baggage with the other cast, but then again, don't get me wrong, I don't believe he should have gotten all of the smoke that he got in the way, because I still don't believe that he called Miss Patricia BITC.
I don't either. Yes, I agree. Yes,
I don't. Part. Mm-hmm. And there's too much, and I'm gonna say it, evidence against Craig, even though he tried to say, well, 90% is good enough to run with his story. No, boo-boo. People actually said that you embellish and you're not truthful. So for me, that tells me that you didn't hear what he said. You heard what you wanted to hear.
Well, and it doesn't even matter because they harped on the word bitch. You did, and everybody else did. The actual words used were inflammatory and mattered. If you had generalized what he said and not held on to the bitch thing, but that was the scandalous part, and that's the one part that's not accurate. Shep backs up that you said 90% of the accuracy, but don't go to battle over a word there's no evidence he uttered. Like, and your proclivity, you called yourself a storyteller and an embellisher. We've seen you lie on camera. I don't know how he stood behind that footage saying, I'm not a liar. Yes, you are. You're like, oh, Lord, you have lied. The fact that you won't even acknowledge that part makes it a little unsettling, Craig. That's the problem. So yeah. I don't think he deserved to be, but then again, if this little monkey was running around telling me what I should and shouldn't do, I would kick him in the throat too, So I don't know who's going to even tolerate them when they come back. But that goes back to what I was telling you. I wonder if there's a part of Venita that just leaned into this little romance storyline with him, thinking this is going to get me somewhere.
Venita, girl.
It's the wrong road.
No. If there wasn't another girl involved and he was just, playing with you, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But to know that he's choosing,
Yes,
he is
exactly.
making a conscious decision, a conscious effort to push you aside as one of his best friends. You obviously place him in more of a regard than he does you. And you are the prize, Miss Ma'am, not him. You're the prize. Please stop doing this with him. And I hope you don't do this with any more men. Girl, you are the prize. Yeah, you may have fallen for him, but he chose someone else. And want the whole world to know, not just the cast.
And
So,
she went so far as to claim she was starting to fall in love with him. Like, get out of here. Those are bold declarations based on whatever situation y'all had where it doesn't even sound like you slept together. I'm like, what in the height? Yes, I'm just
fantasy.
like, and I really, like, to your point, I go back to where I feel sad for her because, I was overweight in high school, and after I had gastric bypass surgery and I got all this male attention, I had so many self-esteem issues for never being chosen for so long that, like, she's got this pick me behavior that I relate to, but I'm just sad to see it out of her because it's like, no, he didn't choose you. He posted this other girl where there's rumors about her, even her stability. She's got a reputation around town, this other girl, but he chose her over you. And watching his little weird, like, I care about you and I want to make sure you're all right, like, because I have two women in love with me and I just want to make sure you're okay. No, asshole, leave her alone. Don't talk to her. Give her some space. If you really respected her and cared about her, when you chose your girl over her, you would say, we need a cooling off period so that my relationship isn't in jeopardy and you and I can come back to this and be more casual friends.
It's a shame. For Venita to counsel the other ladies in their interpersonal relationships with each other, and to have such a sound mind all this time. Well, again, sometimes we can just be goofy over dick, and I get it. Whether we got it or not, the whole point is, she's goofy over this dude, and she's allowing that to be in the forefront versus what is truly him not choosing you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and I hate saying that, at the beginning of the day, during the day, while
all day,
room, thank you,
RAERAE all day.
All day, he chose somebody else. So why in the hell are you pining over somebody who chose somebody else?
Publicly,
and then
at least.
At the end of that, you want to truce with a drink. Girl.
Oh, I know. And the diabetes of it all and, like, all of it. I know. Oh, I know.
And she came to him with it like, girl, oh my God.
I know. I know. It was awful. It was an awful downfall. I was sad to see it. I don't want this publicly. You should have done this. Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is there must be something missing from this story for her to act like
That's what I'm telling you. There's the part where I'm like, this is when I look at it, I'm like, something smells fishy because she's almost coming to him, like, consoling him. Like, I'm sorry we're raking you over the coals for this storyline. Like, I feel like part of me, if you told me they concocted this storyline beforehand and are playing it out with the way she brought him a drink, that could very well be true.
And I just thought about something. Okay. When they were raking him over the coals out there in the Bahamas, she didn't say nothing. But she sure is taking up for him at this point. It's like, how do you not have his back at that dinner when Austen read him for all the filth? But you hold him in your arms like a newborn baby holding the head up at this point. Some makes
That's why I
some don't
told
add
you
up.
I do not feel like I understand based on what's been shown. I don't feel like we got, and whatever piece is missing is important is the problem, because it may just be one added element of this. Like maybe they decided to have a flirtation on the show and it got different, right? And like, you know what I mean? But like there's some kind of piece of this that's a vital part of the puzzle that we
Girl.
are not privy to.
Okay,
Because
because we can't fathom why she's doing
no,
this. There has to be something else that we
yeah,
just are not privy to.
no, because she said he's dead to her. She's never gonna, like when, yeah, like all of this, and then she's bringing, like shit that's gonna make his diabetes thing register. And I'm like, aren't you good friends? Like somebody
She's
with
trying
that
to
level,
kill him.
yeah, I'm like somebody with that level of diabetes. You're like well aware. You know what I mean?
Girl.
Like he has juvenile diabetes. That shit's brittle. You know what I mean? Like that shit you don't play with. And then I hear I brought you a shot. Oh, well, you might kill. What are you trying to do? Bring my blood sugar off? Oh, wow. Like,
Girl,
what? Maybe. Oh,
girl,
oh,
maybe that's it.
maybe that's the important piece.
Because certain, you can get away with something by portraying as if it doesn't bother you.
Listen, she's a whole
Shut up.
mastermind of emotion. If she came in there and be like, I'm so sorry here, and then like the actual outcome that she wanted was his blood sugar spike, coma.
Girl.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a dead horse. Oh, no.
Yeah.
So real quick, let's go into Miss Patricia, pretty
Oh,
much
yeah.
coming in. So, in a part of all this, of course, the whole thing with Craig accusing JT of calling Miss Patricia a bitch because of the cane of her not appreciating the kind gesture that he gave her the cane down to that cup event, down to that horse race event. And Craig is standing 10 toes down, although no recording of it, no recollection of it. The only person in the whole wide world and on this earth that knows or remembers JT calling Miss Patricia a bitch is him. Not even those that were in close proximity, not production. Nobody heard this
Shep,
but Craig.
who was there? Shep was
And
there.
on top of that, the cast, knowing that Craig embellishes, Craig has put 20 on 10, Craig has put too much on it over the years to where they don't believe it. On top of, that's not how JT rolls. No matter what else is going on with JT, they're all pretty much vindicating JT in that respect. And even Miss Patricia said, I don't believe it after everything has transpired, after watching the show. At first she did, but then now she doesn't. And pretty much she put the pin in the coffin with that. Mm-hmm. But Craig still is adamant that no, he did say it. And because JT talked greasy about the cast, but mainly Austen cheating on his girlfriend by way of Leva's innuendo, and just because JT has a 90% track record of offending people, it has to be true because he's an attorney. First of all, when did he pass the bar?
He did back in the day. He did. He was. I don't know if he's still licensed, but he did do it.
Well, anywho, yeah. So Craig is on an island with this, and
well, yeah, again, I go back to it's because I understand Craig's argument was you talked a whole lot of schmack about people. Like that doesn't change. Like you said, you were real greasy, and he was greasy in a really effed up way because it was this moral superiority that he shouldn't be claiming based on his behavior. But Craig needs to understand that like the word bitch in this situation is so offensive culturally. It's like you're accusing JT of saying the N-word. Okay? Like the actual word is in question, in contention, and is offensive. And if there's no proof of the actual word uttered, you got to walk that back and say, maybe I was mistaken there, but I'll stand by the fact that he talked all greasy about it and I relate it. You know, like it's a little bit of a loss for Craig, but it's the truth. You could stand down and say, JT, you're a punk, but I apologize for slander, for, starting a word warfare about something that, you know, I'm sorry. That's it. Just leave it at that. Sometimes the best way to stop shit like this is just apologize and move on. Because he still was a punk.
True. There's other stuff to be mad at him about. So don't
Yeah. So, like, that's my point too, Craig. Like, Craig, yeah, he did talk a lot of smack, but don't hang on to something you can't prove. Just like now you're you're giving JT an out where he does need to be accountable. Like, why would anybody want to hang out with you if they feel like all you look down your nose at them and their lifestyle choices, when clearly as soon as you have some of the same kind of opportunities, you are no better.
And also for Craig to accuse JT for being the moral police, it doesn't make sense for him to call Miss Patricia a bitch at the same token. Those two can't exist. It's, so perhaps Craig was thinking in his mind, as a lot of people do when they're struggling. During conversation, they are over analyzing and just interpreting what he's saying. Because Craig didn't say JT was talking greasy about Miss Patricia.
No, you're right.
He just outright called her a bitch.
Yeah.
And that doesn't equate if you're accusing the same person of being the moral police.
Yeah, well, like we remember that scene. He called Miss Patricia a bitch. You know what I mean? He was like gleeful to and he basically kind of did, but he didn't use that word, and then that becomes the thing. So,
and there it is, interpretation.
Yes, and I think Craig wants to be able to rest his laurels on interpretation, but everybody's saying no, dude, because the actual word is did he use derogatory language or not? And what you did is actually take away from Craig does have a valid argument. JT, you talk about everybody at that meeting. And he walked out. Remember, he's like, I'm not gonna let you talk about my friend Austen like this. He's not a cheater. Remember, like Craig was like, actually, if he hadn't hung on to the bitch thing, Craig was looking like the friend that was defending at when JT was trying to talk about Madison's husband who thinks that she likes me. Miss Patricia was rude to me. Austen's still an F-boy cheating on his girlfriend. All the things that he was listing out. So it really is like, this is one where you really should just have been, I'm sorry, that part I messed up. But, like you could be walking around talking about how messed up JT is just based on what he actually said that's on camera.
And speaking of what JT did not say and why Madison is more friendly with him is when Madison found out back in Bahamas at the same dinner where they were chewing JT out and Austen read him for filth, was she realized he never used the word affair. Right. He just insinuated based on the events that there was some turmoil to where Brett needed to confirm things regarding him and Madison's whereabouts. So, of course, that would lead, and I think we agree, we could see how JT could come to that conclusion. But even Madison said then, okay, you didn't say the word affair. Because she said, did you say the word affair? He's like, no, I just spoke, yada, yada, yada. She said, oh, okay. Because, again, like you said, words mean something to this group. This group rests on certain types of their reputation. It goes a long way. That's the culture down south is, can this person be trusted? Are they, talking greed? all these different franchises have their own culture, have their own way of doing business, because a lot of business is not always in the boardroom, but it's outside while they're just frolicking and having a good time. And they rest upon that, because if they can't trust you in a leisure activity, they sure the hell can't trust you with their money. And you know how that is, just like Beverly Hills. Money goes a long way with certain cultures. So with all that, what I'm trying to say is, Craig, you lied.
Yeah. Well,
You embellished.
The level of offense was lessened when you took certain words out of it, because it's one thing to say an affair that made Madison livid, right? Because I personally think she and Brett were having a drunken argument or disagreement or whatever, because she said they were drunk when they called JT. I bet you something happened where he brought it up and she wanted to make sure that he felt fine about it, so they called JT. So you can't deny that that was a little odd, and JT had every right to share that tea. But if it's a much less of an offense when you see the way he actually puts it versus saying, I think he thought we were having an affair, right? But what it doesn't change the fact is, if I were Madison, I would still be like, all right, I'm willing to forgive you, but like, don't talk about my marriage again, punk, or whatever. You know what I mean? Or I don't even know. But the problem is, Craig, the words you clung to or the words you relayed, turned it into a whole different. It was a game of telephone. And you have to be responsible for some of the fallout, because the offense was much less to Patricia based on what JT was on camera saying versus just calling her a straight up bitch, which goes back to, like you were saying, the cultural thing. Because that's inflammatory, especially down there.
And she an old lady. Like,
yeah.
She don't hurt nobody. All she do is drinking her in her chiffon pleated gowns and
and she was just
play
mildly
with her dogs and just lay around and lap of luxury, order people around and playing parties. I mean,
and JT's cane gesture didn't land, and she didn't act like, in my opinion, super out of pocket. She just didn't she didn't take it in the spirit which he offered, but everybody was like, why would you even do that? So, once again, it got totally blown out of proportion. I think if JT does come back, if you don't show that you now understand the nuances of like the way you run your mouth about these folks, like, I don't see what the point is.
Well,
but you know what? He has a show now, Friends with JT or some shit like that. He's got a co-host. He's doing a podcast in the space that he rents. He's interviewing his friends. He's drunk the Kool-Aid too. He wants in.
Listen, if that YouTuber can make between 500 and 600K a year, that's enough incentive for me as a cast member on any reality show to go ahead and do a podcast and get on this thing called YouTube or whatever else is out there to promote my podcast business, because and it won't take them that long to get up to the same type of I guess requirement, so that they can make that type of money. Because girl,
I don't know
that's a
lot
of money just to make your own hours, to be your own boss, pretty much just adhere to a few guidelines, to drink on, to do whatever you want to do. Pretty much to do whatever you want to do and get paid that much money per year. Girl, these folks is getting podcasts like they change draws, and I don't blame them, because we doing it too. Shit. You know what I'm saying?
But the market, I disagree with you slightly on the opportunity for income. The market for podcasting now, and the death of reality stars podcasts within the first year, like all of that stuff. What I will agree with you is, you're right. If you are on a reality show, you really should probably have your own social media and have some things working for you, because they are additional streams of income. How well this is all going to take off, I don't know. I'm just curious. My point in mentioning it is that JT has officially gotten a taste of fame, and he liked it, and he wants to keep going. So he's in the game now. Little dork. I hope he comes to realize why some of the ways that these people have acted when the way that he judges them.
Yeah, let's hope that girlfriend of his doesn't turn on him.
Ooh, that's
supposedly she turned on other people, but
I'll be here to watch it. I'll be here to watch it when it goes down in flames.
Well, I think we can move on from there, girl.
Sure.
The whole girl.
Yeah.
That's not. But let's talk about the newbies, right? Molly and Sally. Molly came in, model, talked about her thyroid issues where her weight fluctuates to maybe 10 pounds, 15, whatever. Still looks good. We saw the fluctuation, still look good, and then she develops a crush on Shep, and he asked her out, even though it didn't seem like it was on a romantic level, but it turned out to be to where they hit it twice. Okay. All right. And that was pretty much, but he did talk about her being accomplished. She's a turn on. Yeah. So, I'm glad that he kind of clarified it a little bit, because for me, before hearing that, I'm like, okay, is this some mercy sex because she ain't had him in 2 years? Is he just it could be rebound too, but I'm glad that he spoke of her in more higher regard than at least JT did with Venita.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying how I see how Molly is not fiending or falling over herself for Shep the way Venita is with JT. She's taking it in, but she's taking it in that they may be just F buddies, whatever the case. But I don't see her wanting to be in a relationship with him. But just if there's some pleasure involved, cool. That's what I see. And I'm here for that.
He's very good. Remember, he hooked up with Catherine when she kind of needed somebody. Like he's kind of one of those dudes that is one of those, he seems like he's decent for a good time and you can stay cool with each other, right? Just don't expect more than what you came for. But it didn't seem like Molly wanted more than what she got.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see in future seasons if they revisit their flirtation with one another or their attraction, or if that is something that they kind of go back to, because I think they both like each other and care about each other, but I don't think either one of them was impressed with each other, because if they were, it would be a whole different situation. So but like you said, I think that they handled whatever they explored, respectably.
Yeah.
Can't blame them, Besides, with some of the comments they've made, I don't know how good in bed Shep is. But anyway.
Girl. I ain't even going to dignify that with a response. But what I will say is the true test of them being cool, calm, collective, laid back, nonchalant, hey, how you doing? Is if either of them are with wait, I'm going to say it again. If either of them are around each other with a date, that could be construed as, oh, they're with that person.
Yeah.
How Shep was when Sienna was in the midst of Bronco football player because he had a big black Amex.
Yeah, I've seen two. I know. Oh yeah, that was funny.
So just to see the true essence of how they are towards each other, and just to see how their psyche is and their temperament. I would love to see how they react, no matter what that reaction is, when either of them is with a date. And because
I think they're going to be fine, because I think they're I know, but I feel like they're literally like the pH balance you always joke about Charleston. I feel like they all know that this is what happens in that town. You know what I mean?
Girl. So you can't even
So
sit down in a restaurant when you go down there.
I'm
Okay.
serious. We're gonna have to bring some sandy wipes.
Girl.
Um. So anyway,
Mm.
it's so funny when you're in a situation where you're like applauding the way people handled a booty call, like like hitting it a couple times. But
Yeah.
we needed somebody to be mature and like cool with it. And Molly's doing a great job of like, yeah, whatever. And Shep said when he came back from traveling, she'd already started dating someone else, so she clearly wasn't waiting, pining. I think that Molly was like, yeah, I'm attracted to him. I'll play into this storyline that I have a crush on him for my first season and she played it well. But I don't think that because honestly, if she really, really wanted it to work out, she could have pursued it harder after they slept together a couple times. I don't think she wanted it after that.
Yeah, because sometimes the first time you may just need to try it out a second time just to see, or you may just want to run it back. But I appreciate her. I like Molly.
Yeah, me too.
And again, I appreciate how she's handling it, and she's not a giggly schoolgirl on the couch sitting next to him the whole time. She was just like, "Oh yeah, well, we're here twice, and that was it."
No, well, I could also see them I could see them like getting married in a couple years. You know what
Oh
I mean?
no.
Like I don't want that for Molly, but I'm just saying like they have this interesting kind of energy about people that like understand life a little differently. You know what I mean? Where it's like, we're just trying to get along to go. But I have a feeling Molly, women become more attractive. Actually, I think reality star women have more trouble dating than men. But come back, Molly. We like you. You're a great friend. You're
Yes,
pretty. You're
we
funny.
love her.
Yeah, you're accomplished. We like your story. You're, all of it. So come on back.
Now the opposite is that, in my
Oh,
opinion.
yes, your favorite.
I'm not, and it's nothing to have to do with Gaston and all the beach. No,
Yeah.
it's just she's like a gnat, a fly, and you just want to swat it because she's. I don't know. Maybe not that we know each other at all. Please believe me. I don't know this woman from Eve, but I just don't think she's a good fit for this group. She comes in with an attitude for Taylor because they keep sharing the same man. Well, for me, I don't think I think it's done on purpose. I think Sally went after at least two men that Taylor was with, and that was Shep and Andrew. I believe that because for some reason or another, I think she's been watching from a distance. She's trying to get in the fray in the midst of things. I think she's a little TV hungry. Now, none of this was discussed all season long. I just banked on what was transpiring on the show. But something tells me that she is somewhat of a stalker. She has this, and she wanted to possibly get back at Taylor specifically because Gaston chose Taylor over her. And again, her and Gaston were an item. They were hanging out, but it just don't seem as tight of a relationship to where she would feel as though Gaston was her man. I just think they were having a good time. Like Sienna said, I'm just here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah.
And it was more upsetting to her that she found out that it wasn't what she thought it was. So she kind of came in with this vendetta, knowing that she slept with that this is at least the third guy that her and Taylor have in common intimately. and she ran with it and then kind of steamrolled Taylor a little bit. I just don't, I don't appreciate how she came through and how she moved within this group. It just seemed off.
That's what I completely agree with you about, because you and I have different takes on Sally. I don't think I do think that Gaston led her on. I think that she reeks of somebody that was really in love with him and got her heart stomped on and wanted to get back at, and is not, she's not over it. So that part I don't agree with. I think, obviously Gaston really upset her, regardless of what the mutual understanding was. I still don't think much of Gaston at all. The fact that he didn't come on camera really and all of these things. So, I think everybody is kind of greasy. But what Sally gives me is that hot girl that doesn't respect entering, that can get any guy she wants and will, that doesn't really respect girl code necessarily. And I don't like how she entered this friend group acting like she was somehow like on par with Taylor because they'd fucked the same dudes. Like, I need to get to know you. And I think what you're reacting to is like, despite your, I mean, not despite, but in congruence with your suspicions, is that, yo, you're very territorial for someone we don't even know yet. So you need to let everybody get to know you. You can feel upset about, I mean, you can stand on business. Gaston didn't treat me well, and I will not talk, that was my experience, and I'm going to talk about that, right? But to your point, like, I just get the feeling that there was still plenty of talk going on, even though everybody supposedly moved on. Like, you're with this weird ponytail dude that Taylor hooked up with. Like, y'all are kind of overlapping on each other enough that you look a little aggressive with the way that you are talking about Taylor and Gaston. I think Taylor is unhealthily attached to her relationship with Gaston, because I think that she's still not in a good place. She's mourning her brother who passed away right around the time that Olivia's did, unfortunately. I think of similar circumstances. I just don't think Taylor's emotionally like in the game, So I just didn't respect, Sally didn't seem to have any girl code. It was literally like, I want my history with the people on this show to give me as much access and right to say whatever I want without letting the audience get to know her and warm up. Because the only thing I really can tell you about Sally is she's fucked a lot of dudes that we know about.
But there's one thing that I agree with Sally on. When she confronted Taylor about texting Austen, that issue of Austen being a butt wipe, but it's okay. So if you guys don't recall, real quick, when they were in the Bahamas, they were in the water. I think it was their last day, and everybody knew it was their last day. So of course, more shenanigans ensuing, and the fact of the guys, just being guys, being those types of guys. I'm not going to generalize, of course. So those guys being those guys, and Austen yelling out from the water as Sally is talking, I think it was Madison or maybe somebody she was talking to on the shore. And also given the fact that she already discussed with the group that she's getting her boobs taken out, the implants removed, Austen yells out, Sally, show us your you-know-what. And it got back to Taylor that Sally was discussing it, but not in a nice way. However, when it was brought back to Sally through Austen, she didn't have an issue with what she was saying. It was just a discussion she was having about what transpired on the trip. So Taylor thought it would be prudent of her to contact Austen to warn him that Sally is talking about what he said. And so he approached Sally at the last at that event put on by Madison and Rodrigo. And she was like, wait, what? So he found out that it wasn't an issue. Like Sally said, she was just discussing it with folks, about what you said. And so that was cleared up. So now she wanted to confront Taylor when they had agreed previously that they will both keep each other's names out of their mouths. And Taylor didn't appreciate that conversation, and she pretty much walked away before resolving. And I agree with Sally. First of all, it wasn't even an issue. But you want to tell that thinking that it is, when we've already agreed that we wouldn't discuss each other in anyone's company.
Mm-hmm.
And Taylor couldn't or didn't want to plead her case. And I just think that Taylor did not want to admit defeat because it's Sally.
Yeah. I mean, and let's be honest, like, we wouldn't expect these women to get along out of this situation specifically. It's not natural in the wild for women who've overlapped each other thusly to even interact. And especially when one woman is happy in her relationship and the other one is still not over the hurt done to her. You know what I mean? So I think the truest statement that that came out of that whole thing, I agree with you though. Taylor was gossiping and bone carrying. And it's like, you're not totally innocent. You're shielding your boyfriend at a level that makes me uncomfortable, because there's a lot of people that are just attesting to the fact that Gaston ran around like a good looking dude, like any of the Shep, Craig, like any of them, that he was dipping and doing. And when he decided to be in a relationship with you, maybe he just decided now he's a good dude. But it sounds like he's a bit of a pig. Like, he's also got some history on Southern hospitality that you and I don't watch. So he's been around. And regardless, when Andy asked if Sally thought they could be friends, and she said not while she's with Gaston. That's true, and I wouldn't expect them to be.
You would think Charleston is 4 streets, 8 lights, and 1 road, not even a highway. I mean, damn.
Mayberry.
You got 3 different reality shows.
I know. That's funny. Yeah, I know. But, do we think she's coming back? I think she's coming back. I think she's made friends with Venita. I think she's made friends with some of the other girls that, Molly. Like, I think she'll be coming back. I don't know if Taylor will be coming back. That would be interesting. Taylor, yeah, I don't know.
I think Taylor is coming back because they keep pitting her and Shep against each other. I think that if Shep showed Taylor he was ready to be the man she expects him to be, she would drop Gaston in a heartbeat, or whoever she's with, because towards the end of this reunion, it was mentioned that he wishes that he was better to her, because he was a better man in his own right when he was with her.
Yeah, they had a moment there. Yeah. It made me kind of sad. I don't think he treated Taylor very well. I think he put her through a lot. I think she was the long-suffering girlfriend that really wanted to get to the marriage finish line with Shep. But I think Shep would have been a shitty husband to her. And I feel bad for her, because I do feel like she was very supportive to him. And I think she's been through a lot. I think she's desperately clinging to this new boyfriend in an unhealthy way. But there's a part of me, like the old romantic, why we're all invested in this shit. I would kind of like to see him say to her, I'm a better man now, let's do this, But, the version of Taylor and Shep that were in a relationship are not the versions of Taylor and Shep that exist now. So I don't know if they could do it.
I have an unpopular opinion. I believe when one person accepts cheating in their relationship, they're part owner of that. So you can't expect someone to stop doing something you knew that they should have never done in the first place. Yeah, people make mistakes. Yeah, people take people back. But if it keeps happening, you have to take ownership of, and what I mean by that is he cheated more than once in their relationship. And she took him back. So she has to admit that, it wasn't just him. It was her allowing him to do it to a certain extent. Like, we have to put our foot down, just like with Venita. You have to put your foot down when he chooses someone else. He, she, whoever your significant other is, you have to put yourself first when your significant other is significant with others. I'm sorry. You may be sad and alone, but would you rather still have that heartache of wondering and ifing and all that, or would you want a little better peace of mind with yourself?
Well, I'm not, that part is a little bit irrelevant to me in the sense that I think Shep was mean to Taylor. I think when he drinks, he can be horrible. That's part of the reason why.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that too.
I think he was a shitty boyfriend. I think he didn't treat her well. I just don't. And I think that she got put up with a lot. And I think that it's unfair to expect all women to be able to do what you're talking about. There are some women that are built stronger than others. There's also a lot of emotional manipulation that happens in a woman being broken down to accept cheating, like manipulation and emotional and mental abuse, the range of all of those things. So I have a lot of compassion for things. I just, because either way, what you're saying, they shouldn't be together because he cheated and she needs to put her foot down and not accept it. So they can't be back together because that's not putting your foot down, right? So that would be re-entering a relationship where you would accept the cheating, like you're saying, you're co-signing it for. So, I just think that I appreciate that Shep is able to tell Taylor, I wasn't a very good boyfriend to you, and I'm sorry about that. And I messed up. And I think he did because, Sienna is a beautiful girl, but that was a pipe dream. But the thing he had with Taylor was real. And she would have taken him in his shitty version self and married him. But going back to your argument, we as women shouldn't end up with the cheater. We shouldn't. It doesn't matter how we got there, that shouldn't be your end story,
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you this. Outside of what the world is going through and all the different scenarios dealing with Shep and Taylor and what we know their relationship went through and what they all both went through in their relationship, do you think that she owns a part of what ultimately destroyed their relationship and by keep taking him back after he's being significant with others?
Well, I mean, I'd have to go back and watch exactly like what I know. He kissed a couple other girls, and I think he may have slept with one, or I don't know. Like I can't stand on business because I don't have a very clear. I know he cheated more than once. I get that. You're just a lot more solid on that point than I am.
Mm-hmm.
I just think there's too many nuances to life to be able to I'm just not looking, I guess, like that level of accountability. I think a lot of things matter, and ultimately you shouldn't cheat, period. You shouldn't. It doesn't matter what anybody allows. You shouldn't cheat if you're in a monogamous relationship where you're not cheating on each other, period.
Right, because if you can't be truthful about what you're doing outside of your significant other, then that's obviously something that you shouldn't be doing.
But I do want to say this. She does need to acknowledge she was a doormat girlfriend. But I think that's part of a woman's lot in life in this society, to grow up and to figure out how to do that, right? Like, we know a lot of women that are in relationships where they've compromised other things they shouldn't be compromising either, right? So, what you're saying isn't wrong. Women shouldn't be cheated on, but you should also not stay with someone that doesn't respect you. That didn't necessarily, like, you know what I mean? Like that by that you are still worried that they didn't really learn their lesson and they'll cheat again. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Taylor just wants to be happy in this relationship. And I'm curious to see if Gaston is actually being a good boyfriend or just hasn't been caught yet.
Well, we're going to find out by at least August.
Yep.
Whether it's on the blogs or within the Bravo sphere. We're gonna find out. Some tells me by August.
Prediction. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here.
So as we round out, we're gonna delve into Craig and Austen, right? Of course, the big to do was Craig and Paige. Of course, it transcends two reality shows within the Bravo sphere, and that's Summer House. Is a certain name or just Summer House? Period.
Summer House.
Summer House, and of course Southern Charm. And Paige is the star of her show. Craig is the star of this show. They're both on each other's platforms. And of course, they have their own personal businesses going on. She's uniquely successful. She has a podcast with a good girlfriend of hers, like Craig did with Austen. But their relationship ended circa Thanksgiving 2024. 2024.
Yeah.
And when I say circa, it's because, and I'm gonna give Craig this. Even though the words were said that they need to be apart, there was still some hope and not so much of a concrete. That's it from her, to where there was little him and Han until she finally had to, give up the ghost and do what Venita didn't do. Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing that. So they're definitely no longer an item. Of course, she broke up with him. He bought a ring because she asked him to, and then broke up with him shortly after, according to Craig. Paige wanted him, according to Craig again, Paige wanted him to vouch for her in the press about the cheating. He said, well, since you broke up with me, I don't feel I need to. And, that's coming from hurt, but at the same time, we're not a couple anymore. I don't have to do what you say. That's how I see it. It's like, to me, there should be no more conversation about what transpired in their relationship when it's clear that we're over, and he's hurt. And I'll give him that. Mm-hmm. But others, even Miss Patricia, saw that it wasn't going to last. She thought Paige was mean to him. In a way, she was, stern and a little more aggressive, and he let her. But sometimes those relationships work. I'm just saying.
Their relationship did not translate that well, I feel. They were very popular, but especially at the end, it was not translating. Hey, Paige is very, very, very New York. She is an East Coast girl, New York City, humor, demeanor. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of really like, obviously, this is a big deal for Bravo because it's 2 stars on the franchise. Summer House is having a heyday, making Craig look like a douche. I appreciate the stance that Craig is trying to take on it, of that I was broken up with. I was blindsided. It's not what I wanted. It took me a minute to accept it. And I'm not addressing any of these wild rumors because we're broken up. And the consequence is, people are seeing you out and about and they're speculating. And you want me to somehow confirm that you weren't. Well, what if you were? And I don't even know. But your expectation of me to save your reputation now that we've broken up. I mean, I guess because she's saying, like, I let you pretend we were still together when I'd broken up with you. But either way, it's a breakup. It's going to be messy, bumpy. Nobody's going to get everything they want. Nothing's going to be clean. Craig already has a new girlfriend. There's a new rumored lady on the block.
And she's really pretty.
Yeah, so everybody's going to be fine.
Gorgeous, in my opinion.
Andy said he knows her, actually. He met her through other venues. So, they're going to get more mileage out of this crap and as Summer House moves along. But honestly, Craig, marry a woman that loves your house like we do. I mean, that's first and foremost. Okay, I don't care. Paige, do you go and be great? I will always respect a woman choosing her career when she's getting everything she's ever dreamed of. I do. I wholeheartedly support a 32-year-old woman who can book a 60-plus city tour who's having her career dreams come true, her wildest dreams come true before her very eyes, and she picked herself over a relationship that had a lot of dings in it. I'm sure Craig's drinking wasn't fun to deal with behind the scenes, and a lot of different things. So, but let's not talk about it anymore, everybody. Please, let's stop.
Put a pin in it. He's done. Folks have moved on, and he ain't got to do her no solid. Nope. That's it. That's all. That's the fat lady sang. Her voice hurts.
She did. She sang.
Now we're gonna bring Craig in because of Austen, right? Austen. He's sympathetic, empathetic, whatever thetic to Craig, his homie, his ace boom, and regarding Craig's struggles with the alcohol, and we all have come to the conclusion that, like you and I have been discussing, Craig needed to maintain his sense of sobriety and not keep going like he used to, and that's something that Austen really couldn't understand, especially when Austen is drunk and carrying on at work when they're supposed to be doing a podcast. It's like, where does all this stop for Craig? He needed a reset, and Austen realized it, and it makes them even better. I'm happy that Austen realizes this so that they can move on in life and have a better communication between them, so that their business and or friendship can have a better rapport also. It was very touching. These guys are not the normal type of guys we see on these reality shows. They're loving towards each other. You know what I'm saying? They're kind towards each other. They're not trying to sneak each other and take each other's girls or anything. They're different. Even from New Jersey, we thought the New Jersey guys were affectionate. Nah, they ain't got nothing on these cats.
Yeah, no, I like it.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, we already talked about this. I think the storyline even just focused on their friendship, and that is the thing that has maintained on the show, and been a constant. So I'm rooting for them always. They have their weird relationships as they adjust their lives with their substance consumption, because they're a little all over the place. But you know what? You don't have to define it to me in order for it to make sense for you. So I just would love to see everybody continue to grow up, mature, and live better lives and be better friends to one another.
And that was pretty much it. That's all I had. We round this up unless you got something else to say.
No, I always do, but I know. I'm ready to stop.
The mouth of the South.
Yeah. Ooh, Southern California.
Well, y'all, that was it for Southern Charm season 10. As you can see, we can't wait for season 11. We will come back as soon as they do. But as far as coming back, we will be coming back also with other reviews. Don't forget to check us out on this channel. And also you can check out Erin on where else can we find you, Mama?
You can check me out on Instagram, psychic_ELB. If you would like to get a psychic reading, just hit me up in the DMs. You can also, like I said, I got some things planned. I'm working on some of my own potential lifestyle podcasts coming up here soon. So stay tuned, everybody.
All right. I'm about to see what this salmon talking about. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks again. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. All right. Bye, y'all. All day.